Alright, guys, so I'm a little confused. So, Northwestern is one of the top 10 highest ranked academic schools in the country and top 50 in the world. But is this Northwest? Or is this? Or this? I mean, I think the answer is pretty clear.
Yo! What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Daytime Cheese, and we are here to talk about week 3 of the college football season. Now, last week there were a couple of upsets, most notably, at least for most Miami fans, the USF Bulls beating the 13th ranked Florida Gators. So, this week, this is now a ranked matchup. So you guys will get to see my thoughts and my predictions for this game afterwards. But before that, we want to talk about some of the big games happening this week. And the first one I want to talk about is Georgia at Tennessee. My bad. But yeah, let's get into it. So Georgia comes into this game ranked number 6 after their slow game against Austin, PA, and Tennessee comes in ranked at 15. Now, this game is going to be good. It's not going to be a stunner of a game, in my opinion. I do think Georgia will be able to come out with a dub in this one. Although I am rooting for Rocky Top in this situation. I do like Tennessee just because of Rocky Top. I like Rocky Top. So I think Georgia has the ability in Gunnar Stockton to win this game. Even going on the road, I think Georgia is a very strong competitor this season, so they will be able to take care of business in Neyland Stadium, even though that place is loud, even though it's probably going to be a hard game for both teams. It is a top 15 ranked matchup, so it's not going to be an easy game for either team. But I do think I have Georgia coming out on top in this one. Gunnar Stockton is just a lot better than I think Tennessee's quarterback is, who I am not 100% sure who it is after Nico left. So it is indeed Joey Aguilar. And yeah, I don't think he is good enough to outduel Gunnar Stockton, which I think this is what this game is going to be. I think it's going to be partly a defensive battle in the fact that they need to create stops because both of these teams, I feel like, have very high-powered offenses. Or better said, they have the potential of very high-powered offenses. They haven't shown it yet, but they definitely could. So I would like to see a shootout in this game. But this could very easily be a matchup that turns into a defensive struggle. So I am interested to see in what these two teams do in their first matchup with a top-ranked opponent. The next game I want to talk about would have looked a lot better if last week didn't happen. Because we have the Florida Gators going to Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers. Now, as a Miami fan, I'm pulling for the Gators in this one because I want the Gators to be ranked when we play them so we could kick the ass of another ranked team. But I just don't really see it happening. I think Garrett Nussmeier really is looking like the Heisman favorite at the moment. This LSU team is not like any other year or any year in the recent history since 2019. This team looks strong. They are number 3 for a reason. They took down Clemson, who I thought was going to make a very deep run in the CFP. Still very much could, but is looking less and less even after their game, especially after their game versus Troy. So, I don't know, man. DJ Lagway, I still think he's a great quarterback, but I feel like he's regressed since last season. And I feel like Florida's wide receiver core may be too young to fight against this veteran LSU team. even every week it's just looking like more and more like LSU will be the national title winner, like Lee Corso said that they would be. But we'll see. It honestly will come down to who can run the ball. I mean, Florida had a pretty good game running the ball against USF. They just weren't able to put it into the end zone. Um, so I want to see the ground game work more for the Gators. The other thing I would like to see is to finish off drives. They scored one touchdown on a drive that was started off by a kick return, even though they got down into the red zone multiple times before that. So I would really like to see Florida take the next step and score in those situations where you have the ball in the red zone. The other thing I would like to see from Florida is I want to see how they play against a top-ranked team. Because coming into Miami next week, Miami is also going to be a ranked team. If no matter what, they are going to be a ranked team. So I want to see how this Florida Gator team really does play against those higher tier Power 4 opponents. They have only played Long Island University and USF at the moment. So they haven't had a real challenge. So will they step up to the challenge or will they not? LSU is the more proven team in this game. So I got to take LSU in this one. But I could definitely see an upset happening this week. I could see DJ Lagway putting on a show just like he did last year against LSU and helping the Gators overcome that loss against USF. Now, the final game I want to talk about is another ranked matchup. Both of these games, the Florida Gators and LSU, and this next game I'm going to talk about are 7:30 Eastern games. This game is the Texas A&M Aggies versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So last week Notre Dame had a bye week, and since their loss to Miami, I think they have gotten a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they thought that they should have won that game, even though I personally do not believe so. I think Miami is the better team between the two, but CJ Carr was not bad in that game. So I definitely see Notre Dame being good this season. Now, A&M is a little bit of a weird spot. They do not have an amazing, talented top quarterback this year like they do a lot of the other years. So it's going to be interesting how A&M really responds to this first test. They are 2-0 this season, but have not really been tested. This is a very similar situation to the Florida LSU game, in which one team has been proven tested, and it's not like they fell flat. They fell short. Notre Dame fell short against the Hurricanes. They did not lose 17-4 or something like that. They had a close game that at the end of the day was ended by a poor O-line play against a great defensive line. So, as much as I hate to say it, I gotta take the Irish in this game. I gotta take the Irish over the Aggies just because I do think CJ Carr is the guy for Notre Dame. He is their guy. I think it will take a little bit more for him to maybe make it to a national title or have that playoff run like they did last year with Riley Leonard. But I think he is good enough to keep him in the top 10 this season. So, I mean, we'll see how that game goes. But yeah, let's get into my next picks. Alright, let's talk about the Ducks. So, the Ducks go into Illinois, I don't know what city in Illinois, to go face off against the Northwestern Wildcats. And I really do think that this is going to be not that close of a game. This is a big noon game, which is basically Fox's version of College Game Day, if you do not know. So this game is going to be nationally televised once again for the Ducks. But I just want to share a couple of stats before I truly explain myself on why I am making this decision, on why I believe the Ducks will easily go past the Northwestern Wildcats. So, as you can see, I have a little representation of some of the stats. These are averages between the first two games of the season. In the first two games, Oregon has averaged 68 points throughout its first two games. Northwestern has averaged 22.5. Oregon has only allowed an average of 8 points against them all season, while Northwestern has allowed an average of 15. Oregon has 568 yards and a half per game this season. Northwestern only has 381. Oregon has allowed 227.5 yards per game, while Northwestern has allowed 301. Oregon also beats Northwestern in both yard stats in the fact that they have more passing yards in 286 compared to Northwestern's 203, and rushing yards 282.5 compared to Northwestern's 178.5. So that's really why I do think the Ducks will come out on top in this one. I do think that they will be able to do what they've been doing all season and really dominate in this game. I do believe their first real test will come against Penn State, and that will be a real test in the fact that it's probably going to be a top 5 matchup, maybe even a 2 versus 3. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Oregon is doing. I know Dan Lanning has said that he wants to take every game one game at a time. One game at a time. You don't look ahead. You go one game at a time. So hopefully he's preparing the players like that, and the players truly understand that they have to prepare like that one game at a time. Because if not, it might be a little bit difficult for the Ducks to have a shot to really face that opportunity of a 2 versus 3 matchup. So let's talk about the Canes. Now, let's get into the Canes. The Canes are coming off a win against Bethune-Cookman and the number 18 ranked South Florida Bulls, who play in Tampa, who just came off of a win against number 13 ranked Florida in the Swamp, come down to Hard Rock Stadium to take on the number 5 ranked Miami Hurricanes. So this game is going to be good. This is going to be a lot better of a game than most people were expecting preseason. Of course, Byron Brown is the leader for South Florida. He is an amazing dual threat quarterback in this game, in the game of college football. He is one of the role models of loyalty to a team. I really respect him. And Alex Golish I respect as a coach as well. I do think he is a very good coach. Now, let's get into some of the stats of this game. So, as you can see, just like the Ducks and Northwestern, I have put up the exact same stats that each team has had, averaged throughout these two games. So Miami has averaged 36 points in these two games, while South Florida has averaged 28. Now, something else that I want to remind people, Miami has played Notre Dame, which was a decently high-scoring matchup compared to USF's game against Florida, which was a relatively low-scoring matchup. So these numbers are kind of different, and this is why you don't completely only look at stats. Now, each team has allowed around 2 touchdowns a game, with Miami allowing 13.5 and USF allowing 11.5. Now, Miami is averaging more yards per game. They have 433.5 compared to USF's 381.5. And they are also allowing less yards against them on the defensive side, allowing 252.5 yards compared to USF's 366.5. They both pass the ball around equally well and rush the ball equally well as well, as Miami only has around a 15-point lead over, or a 15-yard lead over USF in passing yards, and around a 37-point lead in rushing yards, with 274.5 passing yards for Miami, 259 passing yards for USF. and 159 rushing yards for Miami and 122.5 rushing yards for USF. So how is this going to really affect this game? Well, I do think that this game is going to be a real show of how good Miami is. Because I do think USF is a college football playoff contender in the fact that they are probably going to be the best team in the American, which in my opinion is the best group of 5 conference. So it really comes down to the fact that this shows, is Miami that good? Is Miami going to be a team that can make a deep run in the postseason this season? Because I believe last year Miami maybe could have won against SMU, maybe could have won against Boise State, maybe could have won it against Arizona State. But they probably would have lost most of the other games in the playoffs. So this really shows on how close this game is, how good Miami is. If Miami puts belt to ass in this game and beats USF by at least 4 possessions, I think it's time that people start considering Miami for the college football playoff and start seeing them as maybe a national title contender. Now, if Miami wins by 1-2 scores, it could be a little bit different because, of course, we don't know how good USF is. USF could end up winning the national title, but they could end up losing every single game after this. So it's still early in the season to tell which teams are good and which are not, and how good each team is. But this is one of the games that will show how good each of these 2 teams is. If USF can pull it off, I do think that USF is that good of a team. I do think that it's not, oh, Miami sucks. It's no, USF is that good. If Miami wins, I think it's Miami is good and USF is also good. Not USF sucks, but Miami is just that good because I do think these 2 programs are 2 pretty good programs. So at the end of the day, this ends up being how you win compared to if you win. If you understand what I'm saying there. In the fact that most likely Miami will come out with a W in this game. But what really matters is how Miami wins it. Do they win it close? Do they win it in a landslide? Do they win it by a decent margin? Do they cover the spread? Do they not? So that's what really matters to me personally in this game, is how I see Miami play. Is Miami going in a shootout against USF? Are they playing a NFL-looking game in the fact that it could be decently scoring like the Notre Dame game was, and both teams are playing well? Or is it a very low-scoring game where there's a touchdown per team like the USF Florida game? So that's what it really depends. And so now I have to give my score prediction. I think I'm going to rock with Miami having 32 and USF having 17. I do think it's going to be a 15-point victory for Miami, which will show that they are a good team. I'm not really sure if they should be classified as national title contenders yet. Because again, we don't know how good each team is. Now, if Notre Dame comes out tomorrow or on Saturday and puts belt to ass to Texas A&M, no matter how Miami plays, I'll say, okay, maybe put Miami in that contention. But without that knowledge, it's really difficult to say because you don't know what teams are good and who's not. It could be Clemson sucks, and so that LSU win against Clemson looks so much worse. Could be that Alabama sucks, so that FSU win against Alabama looks terrible. Could be that Texas sucks, so that Ohio State win against Texas looks terrible. We don't know until the end of the season. It's just like Georgia Tech last year with FSU. Like at the beginning of the season, everyone was like, wow, this team is gonna be good. They just beat FSU, and FSU went 2-10. You don't know who's good until the end of the season, so it's really showing how you play games in these situations to really have that outcome. So, yeah, I mean, again, 32 to 15, or to 17. That's my pick for this game right here. But yeah, as always, guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more college football content from me. And remember, I bleed orange and green and yellow. And I'll see you all next time. Daytime out.